Chris Stewart once again for BamaFever.com, joined of course by Joe Dean Jr., my partner here on Inside Southeastern Basketball, presented by Legacy Credit Union. Chairs on CW21. We had a lot of fun this season talking college basketball. I got a chance to vent a little bit today. Big topic, obviously, for me and all of us that follow Alabama. The Crimson Tide left out of the tournament field.
Yeah, it's hard to understand, Chris. When I was watching last night and saw Georgia get in the field as the 10th seed, I threw my hands in the air and said, Alabama's in too. I mean, Alabama beat Georgia twice in the last week and, one game away from being the SEC regular season champions. It's really hard to understand. I mean, I guess I can understand some of the reasoning why Alabama didn't get in. I just don't accept it.
Right. And I was the same way. For 6 weeks, I've said I can clearly understand. And I felt that way going into the selection show, except when I saw Georgia make it. Because I do believe the entire season counts, Joe. But I don't believe that November and December should eliminate you completely from what happens in the postseason, especially when you're as good as Alabama was in January and February.
Well, that's right. If you're going to look at the total body of work, clearly November, December was subpar for Alabama, but they got on a major roll in January and February and on into March, knocking off Kentucky, winning at Tennessee, beating Georgia twice, finishing with the second best record in the SEC. How you can put the fourth best team in the Colonial Athletic Conference in over Alabama is just beyond me.
It's tough to understand. That being said, Alabama's got a chance to still continue its season. And does it diminish what Anthony Grant has done in terms of building his program, the fact that they're in the NIT as opposed to the NCAA?
Absolutely not. I think Alabama, under Anthony Grant in his second year, took a major step forward. A team that really, in my mind, is an NCAA team, but now they're a #1 seed in the NIT, a chance to actually host 3 games if they can win and advance to Madison Square Garden in New York City, which would be quite a nice reward for a great group of young men who have really worked hard this year and improved themselves and put Alabama basketball back on the map.
Good to work with you here on the show. We got to sit almost side by side at the SEC tournament for a couple of
I had to
games
sit next to Brian Passek.
I ignore him. You should have.
Well, he was a great resource. I had all kinds of questions, and he was feeding me information. So,
Brian and Joe are 1 and 1A in my book. I'm just kidding about Brian. Thanks so much for the time. Great to see you.
My pleasure, Chris. Thank you.
Joe Dean Jr., college basketball analyst and athletic director at Birmingham Southern College. I'm Chris Stewart. We'll talk to you again soon here on BamaFever.com.